My microphone's not working.
Let's see, is this working? Let's see, is my microphone working? Seems quiet. Good morning, Jeannie. All right, I think my microphone's working. If it's not, if you can't hear me, make sure you tell me. But we'll go ahead. I've got a block for this practice. If you have a block, that would be good to grab. If not, it might be nice to grab a rolled blanket or something for this, for one thing we're going to do at the beginning. So let me make sure I'm recording. I still feel kind of, okay, it is recording. All right. Well, I took a week off and I still feel a little off kilter. This is the first time I've done yoga for a week. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. I have a fun practice planned. So I'm excited to move this morning. And the month of August, as we're moving through the koshas, we started with the Annamaya kosha, which is your like the physical, all the stuff that you can feel, that layer of your body. And then move to the Pranamaya kosha, which is your breath energy body. And last month we worked with the Manomaya kosha, which is your thought feeling body. And this month is the Vijnana Maya kosha. And I've read it be translated a few different ways. It's our wisdom body. So it's deeper and more subtle than our thoughts. And then the reactions to those thoughts are our emotions. So it's the wisdom body, or also called the personality body. So it's this next layer of who we are. And this really is kind of the lens through which we perceive the world. And, as we get deeper, we get to the true self. Our Anandamaya kosha is our sense of joy and get closer and closer to who it is that we are eternally and at our core. So this wisdom body, it's our ability to discern and perceive, but it also comes through a lens. And what we want to do in our practices and in our observance of ourselves is to kind of clean this lens, right? If we think of a crystal, like a quartz crystal that is pure and clear, It's really rare to find one. Right? You may find a smoky quartz or a rose quartz, and looking through that colored crystal will change the way things look all around you. And our personality is a mix of nature and nurture, the things that we're born with, and also the patterns that we accumulate as we live through life. And what we want to do is to make it as clear as possible, to get out of our own way as much as possible, so that the deeper layers that are even more authentic to who we are will just be the thing that shines through that. So that's just an introduction to what the personality layer of us is, that we'll kind of be thinking about this month. Just to take a couple seconds to kind of tune into your breath. You probably have been while I've just been talking, but you can close your eyes and just kind of feel your body in space. Feel the sensation of the ground underneath you. Feel the air around you, the texture of the clothing on your skin, and the temperature of the air on your exposed skin. Notice the rhythm of your breath as it comes in and out of your nose. And just let your breath lengthen and smooth itself out. And you might even ask yourself, what color is the lens that you see through? And just be kind of curious about that, about all your natural tendencies and patterns that create this lens through which you perceive and see the world. And then just gently open your eyes, and we'll find some gentle movement here. So you can lean back on your hands and just straighten your legs out in front of you, and just brace yourself with your hands so that your spine can be pretty straight. And then just find some internal and external rotation of your legs. So see if you can let this movement happen here at your thigh bone, like right at your hip joint, and not wagging your ankles. See if you can let your whole leg move in one piece, just in and out. Pretty simple. So just internal, external rotation of your thigh bones in your hip sockets. And just kind of loosen things up. Just let your legs kind of be soft and just in and out. And just for a couple more breaths. And then we'll let that internal, external rotation get a little bit bigger by bending our knees and then just windshield wipering our knees from side to side. So dropping one knee toward the center and the other knee out. And just go back and forth here. And just keeping that support of your hands behind you. And then maybe walk your hands in a little bit more. And you can let these twists get a little bit bigger as you go to one side. You can take your arm and reach. And let this be kind of a whole body thing. So you're reaching from your toes out through your fingers. Let's just go back and forth one more time, and then we'll make our way onto our backs. Reach over, and then just swing my legs around and come onto your back. And then just reach both legs up toward the ceiling. Reach your hands up toward the ceiling, interlace your fingers, turn your palms inside out. So palms toward the ceiling, and then just reach those palms overhead. Try to keep your low ribs heavy to the floor. Soften your knees. And then as you inhale, really push your heels straight up toward the ceiling and push your palms away. So straight knees and elbows, and then soften your joints. And just do that with your breath. Just as you inhale to straighten everything, and exhale to soften. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to soften. Let's just do that one more time. And soften. And then bring both knees into your chest. And just interlace fingers behind that right thigh. Bring your left foot to the floor. And then lengthen your right leg up toward the ceiling. And then here, just find that internal, external rotation just from your hip. So it may not be very big. I'm turning my toes out and in, but I'm not moving from my ankle. I'm moving from my hip joint. And you don't have to have your knee totally straight either. Just in and out there. And then just get still. You can lengthen your left leg on the floor. Just find a little hamstring stretch here. Find the natural curve under your lower back. And then bend that knee. We'll just switch sides. Right foot to the floor. Interlace your fingers behind that left leg. Find your low ribs on the floor. And this knee can be bent as much as you need to. But you're going to move right at your hip joint to internally and externally rotate this leg. So use your brain. So you're kind of using your hip joint, and your knee and toes are going to just stay pointing at the same place. And really try to use your internal rotation and use your external rotation to the most that you can. And then pause. Just hold on to the back of that leg. Find a hamstring stretch that just feels like a nice stretch for you. Maybe lengthening that right leg on the floor. And then release that down. Bend both of your knees and just find that windshield wiper action. Just drop your knees over to your right. We're going to take our right arm and thread your hand underneath the small of your back. So maybe your hand goes up toward your shoulder blade. Maybe it just stays right underneath your lower back, but we're just going to find a shoulder stretch here. So find that space, and then you can bring your knees straight up toward the ceiling, or maybe even drop your knees over to the right. Just do what's friendly for that shoulder and breathe there. In and out of your nose, let yourself just have long, slow breaths. And getting some space in that shoulder. And then gaze back to center. Just unthread that arm out from underneath you. Let your arm go long, kind of get some circulation back in it. And we'll roll onto our sides. And this is where you'll use your block or your folded blanket. I'm going to take our block. I'll show you either way. So if you've got a block, you're just going to bring it into your armpit and lay on your side and just bring your head into your hand and kind of relax those rotator cuff muscles all around your armpit into your block. If you don't have a block, you can do this just on the floor. You can do this on the floor and just kind of stretch through with that pressure of the floor on your armpit, or you can find like a rolled blanket or something under your armpit as well. And you can rock back and forth a little bit on whatever it is that you've got underneath there. Just massaging that right armpit. I'm gonna grab my block. And just use your breathing to relax into it. And you might find some places that are pretty tender. And it'll be interesting when we get to the left side. You'll probably notice a difference from one side to the other. You know, for me here, like if I kind of roll forward, it's pretty tight there. And just take one more breath there on your side. And release your head from your hand. Just sneak your block out from underneath you and we'll roll onto our bellies. And you'll take that right arm either straight out to the right in line with your shoulder, or you can bend it at your elbow, okay, on the floor. And then look to your left and then roll onto your right hip. And just stretch through the front of that right shoulder. Now, if your elbow's bent, it'll be a little more intense. If your arm's straight, it'll be a little less intense. Just breathe into that right shoulder. And then unwind yourself. Look forward, come up in a Sphinx pose. Just elbows underneath your shoulders and just kind of check out the difference from one side to the other. And then slide your hands back. Come on to hands and knees. And just take your right arm and thread it underneath your left armpit. And just come down onto the right side of your face, right side of your shoulder, and find a twist there. You can reach those left fingertips long, or you could bring the back of your left hand to your right outer hip behind you. And then plant your left hand in front of your face. Use your arm strength to come back up to hands and knees. And then we'll come to a standing kneel and just step your right foot forward into a low lunge. Put your left arm up and then bend that elbow. Grab a hold of your elbow. Kind of lean your head back. Engage through that left glute and lengthen through that left side body. You can find a little bit of a side bend here. And then release your arms, bring your hands down to frame that right foot. You might sneak your left foot back a little bit, your left knee. And we'll bend and straighten through this right knee. So if you want your blocks on either side of that right leg, you could grab your blocks. We're just gonna bend and straighten a few times. The next time your leg gets straight, walk your hands back, or if you need your hands on your hips or on blocks, that's fine. And your knee can be bent just a little bit. Let this feel okay in your lower back. I want you to try that internal and external rotation of that straight right leg. So I'm moving from the hip crease, like from your hip joint. So your knee and toes are going to stay pointing the same direction, and just external and internal rotation of that right leg. And just find that there. Hi, kitty. And then bend into your knee. We're going to come to standing at the top of your mat. So just lift your back knee, come all the way up to standing. And then really pour your weight down into that right foot. You're going to hover your left foot just a little bit off the floor. And then we're going to play with that internal, external rotation of that right leg again. So you're going to keep your right foot exactly as it is. And then you're just going to steer your left leg open. So your toes and your knee are staying point the same direction. And then come back. And then open. So my left foot's just barely hovering. Okay, just keep that left foot flexed. And you're pivoting in your right hip, but it's your left side of your body that's moving because you're standing on that right leg. So you just out and in, and out and in. Okay, let's try that one more time. Out and in. And then plant that left foot down. Inhale, reach your arms high. And then soften your knees. Just let yourself find a standing forward fold. Just check out the difference from one side to the other. And then bend into your knees. You can lift your heels. We're just going to make our way down onto our bums, all the way onto our backs again. So come onto your back. We'll find a few rounds of some dynamic bridge work here. So heels just stay on the floor. You can let your your toes be free. Let your knees go wide, push into your heels, lift your hips, and then bring your knees together and let your hips lower. So we're just doing these hip circles. Knees wide, lift, knees together and lower. Knees wide, lift your hips, knees together and lower. Wide and lift, knees together and lower. And then switch directions. So knees together, lift, knees wide and lower. Knees together and lift, knees wide and lower. Let's do that 2 more times. And then go ahead and release. Just a couple rounds of that lengthening legs up toward the ceiling. Interlace your fingers. Let your hands go overhead. Soften your knees. And then with an inhale, just push your palms and your heels away. Let your knees and elbows come straight. Just do that 2 or 3 times on this side. And then release. We'll roll over onto our left side this time and find your prop under your armpit. So either block or rolled up blanket, or it can be just the floor, and you can just kind of roll on the floor and really bring some awareness to that armpit area and those muscles all around there. You can rock a little bit here and just, you can think about what it was like on the first side compared to this side. It's probably a little bit different. I know in my right side it's tighter in the front. On my left side it feels like tighter in the back. Just kind of information about the patterns and the way that you use your body, right? Which isn't symmetrical. If you're right-handed or left-handed, it's going to be different. All right, let's just take maybe 2 more breaths here. You can be still or you can rock. And then just move your prop out of the way and come onto your belly. And we'll do that same inner shoulder stretch we did on the other side. So you can have either a straight arm or a bent arm. Take that left arm out to the side. You're going to bring your left cheek to the floor, look to the right, and then roll over to your left. That arm can be bent or straight. Just breathe into the front of that left shoulder. And then come back onto your belly. Prop yourself up in a sphinx. Just take a breath or two there. And then hands next to your chest. Come to hands and knees, and we'll find that twisted child here. So take your left arm underneath your right armpit, left shoulder to the floor, left side of your head to the floor. Reach those right fingertips long, or take the back of that right hand behind your left hip. Just enjoy that twist. And then put your right hand over your face to hands and knees, and then walk yourself into a standing kneel and take your left foot forward this time. Reach your right arm up, bend your elbow. Just grab a hold of that right elbow with your left hand. You can lean your head back. Maybe side bend over to your left. And engage through that right glute so you get a clear, nice stretch through that right side. And then release your, I don't know if my internet's being weird. Hope you guys can see me. We're going to bend and straighten that front leg. Just go back and forth through that. And after a few rounds, just hold that left leg straight and see if you can find that internal and external rotation there. So straight leg, knee and toes are pointing the same direction. You're just in and out, internal rotation, external rotation. So just kind of a little bit of a windshield wiper action with your foot, but it's originating from your hip joint. And then you can end that, bend into your knee. We'll come to standing at the top of your mat. And you'll find that balance with that right foot just hovering. So right foot hovers, you're standing on your left foot. Just keep your hands at your hips. So you're going to be moving from your left hip, but you'll take this right foot and point it to the right and then come back. So that grounded hip is your stabilizer and it's your mover. That right foot's just floating as you internally and externally rotate that grounded leg. And let yourself feel the strength in that left hip. As you stand. And then just find equal standing, find your weight on both feet. Inhale and reach high. And then exhale, soften your knees, let yourself fold. You can just bow here. Inhale to find a halfway lift. Lengthen through that whole back body. Exhale and fold. And then bend into your knees. We'll find that squat and see if maybe this time you can come into a boat. You maybe use your hands, maybe let your hands float, bring your bum to the floor. And then engage into your core. Lift your heart. Maybe shins parallel with the floor. And then lengthen out. We'll come down into a half boat. Reach your arms overhead. Really push your lower back into the floor, but let your shoulder blades and your heels hover. And then from here, we're going to roll onto our right side and just come onto your right forearm. So right forearm, elbow under shoulder, and then kind of bend into your knees. Okay, so your heels and the back of your pelvis are in a line. I'm just going to keep our heels together and then find some external rotation of that left hip. So lift that left knee up and then lower. So just do about 8 of these clamshells. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to switch. Keep your knees together. You're just going to lift your heels apart. So internal rotation and do about 8 there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now really root down into this right elbow. We're going to lift our hips up. So push down into your outer shins and then lift that right hip up off the floor and let it come down. And do about 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll come over onto our bellies. Actually, come onto forearms and knees here. And just find a few rounds of cat and cow movement here. So tuck your chin, round your upper spine, and then look forward. Come onto your hands and knees. Lengthen your right leg back. Reach your left arm forward and just find your balance here. Knit those lower ribs together in a way that's containing your belly, that you feel support. And then bend that right knee and push it up toward the ceiling. Engage through your glute and your hamstring. You can stay there. You could reach with that left arm and grab that right foot. And then release. Step your right foot outside of your right hand and find a low lunge here. And find whatever movement in your hips that you need. And then plant through your left hand and just reach up with your right arm for a big twist. So open there. And stay here. You could bend through your left knee. Reach with your right hand for that left foot. And then maybe see if you can bring that left foot in closer and then release your hand. Keep your foot where it is. And then release everything. Hands down. Bring that foot inside of your hands, your right foot between your hands. Tuck your left toes, lift your back knee. And then come on up to a high lunge. And reach your arms high. Now we're going to play with that internal, external rotation that we did when we were standing. But we're going to do it here in this lunge. So we're going to go from high lunge, and then we're going to open into warrior two and take that left heel and ground it. Okay, and so just move back and forth. Come onto the ball of that foot, and then ground your heel. So you're moving from this in both of your hips, finding that internal rotation and then the external rotation. And let your arms just follow in a way that feels good and makes sense to you. Let's end in our high lunge and take a big breath in. And then exhale, hands down. You can inhale to plank. You can exhale through a chaturanga if you want. You can go straight through child's pose. Straight back to downward facing dog. Just listen to your body and what it is that you need. And then inhale onto your tippy toes, look between your hands. Exhale, bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. And then bend into your knees. We'll make our way into that boat pose again. So hands free, or use your hands to help you come down and find your balance. And then stretch it out to a half boat. So feel the back of your sacrum on the floor and then really push your lower back into the floor. Heels, shoulder blades. Hover, maybe reach your arms overhead. And then from here, we'll roll to our left side and set up for those forearm things on this side. So knees stacked, and then just 8 of those kind of clamshells. So try to keep your hip points stacked on top of each other. And you're using those muscles to externally rotate this right leg. And lift that right knee up toward the ceiling as much as possible. Let's do 2 more there. And then we'll switch directions and just lift your heel. So you can flex through that foot. And then really try to move from your hip joint. There's some knee movement happening too, but use those internal rotators. And then then keep your legs together. You'll really push into the outer edge of that left foot and lift our left hip up off the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then just roll onto forearms and knees. From here, we'll move into a dolphin pose. So you can have your hands together like in a prayer or clasped hands or palms on the floor. Tuck your toes and lift your hips high. Really push the floor away from you and lengthen through that armpit. And just remember that sensation of the block through all those muscles there. Enjoy your breath. And just one more breath there. Sorry, guys. My internet's not working. So we're finding that balance, a little bit of a balance from your hands and knees. Left leg back, right arm forward. And you can bend this left knee, reach back with your right hand. There. And then release that. Left foot comes outside your left hand. And just find your low lunge. You might sneak that right leg back a little bit. And then you can sway your hips from side to side. Find any movement that feels good there. Ground through your right hand. And then reach your left arm up. Find your big twist here. You can stay here or bend your right knee. Maybe reach for that right foot with your left hand. And then see if maybe you can draw that foot in closer. And then release your hand and keep your foot where it is. And then release. From that front foot with your hands. Tuck your back toes. And then come up into that high lunge. Reach your arms high. And then we'll find that internal, external rotation of that hip or back leg. So ground your right heel, open up into warrior two, and then lift your back heel and come into your high lunge. Just move at your own pace. Do this with your breath. Let your arms get involved. Right, and this is an exploration of your hip and feeling your stability, using all that muscular strength that you have surrounding your hip to support you in all the orientations it can go in. So you're opening and then kind of closing it off. And then open and close. Let's do one last time. Open and close. Exhale, hands down. Inhale yourself into plank. You can exhale to lower through child's pose or all the way to your belly or just straight back into downward facing dog. Just kind of make your way to downward facing dog. Know that it really feels like it serves your body. And then come forward into plank. Bring your knees to the floor and then bring your forearms to the floor. You can interlace your hands or have your palms flat down. We're just going to play with our dolphin again. So hips up, push down into your outer wrists, lengthen through your outer armpits. And then you can stay still, or you can play with rocking your chin toward your fists and then pushing it away. We're having a hard day today. And then go ahead and come out of your dolphin. Just rest in a child's pose. And then walk your hands back towards your knees. Come up to a standing kneel and step your right foot forward into a low lunge. You can kind of lean into it this time. Take your right hand out to the right and internally rotate that right shoulder and bring the back of your hand to your mid back. And it may just stay there. We're gonna reach our left arm up, and you may reach for fingertips, but you may just kind of cradle the back of your head with that left hand. And just enjoy your lunge here. And then release your arms. Reach them high. And then exhale, hands frame that front foot. Tuck your back toes and lift your back knee. And then ground your heel and come on up into warrior two. And just pause here. Now we've really played with that stability in our hips. So from here, we're going to move into ardha chandrasana, into half moon pose. So we'll balance on this right leg. Sorry, guys. I don't know if you're getting anything out of this. So we did half moon on the right side. I don't know if you saw that or not. We did half moon pose on the right side. And then we kind of came and pivoted. We really worked with that engagement we've used with that internal external rotation of our hip, and then pivoted down into a standing forward fold. And from here, just step your right foot back and find a low. So we're low lunge with the left foot forward, and see if you can find those archer arms on the other side. So you'll take your left arm out to the side, internally rotate that shoulder and bring the back of your left hand anywhere on your back. Reach your right arm up, maybe cradle the back of your head, and just enjoy this. Or you might reach for fingers. And just enjoy your lunge. Open your heart, enjoy those shoulders. And then release. Bring your hands down. Lift that back knee and then ground your right heel. And we'll come up for warrior two. So just open yourself up into warrior two. Left leg forward. And from here, we'll move into half moon. So bring your right hand to your hip. And we'll bring left fingertips either to a block or to the floor, kitty corner from your left pinky toe, just to the left of it and forward. Slide that right leg in and then lift it up. Okay, so my left toes are pointing straight to the left and my right toes are pointing to the side. The inner edge of that right foot is parallel with the floor. Maybe reach, right arm up, Maybe bend through that right knee, reach for that foot, and find Ardha Chandra Chapasana. Enjoy your balance. You've got your foot, release. And then we're going to find that pivot. We're going to take that right hip point and point it toward the floor. Bring your hands down and step forward. Find your standing forward fold here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. And then soften your knees. You're just going to step your left foot and cross it behind your right. So your legs will be crossed. Okay. And then we're just going to bend our knees and come down to the floor with these crossed legs and then sit back. Did that make sense? So now we're sitting with crossed knees and right knee stacked on top of left. And they don't need to be exactly on top of each other. Could look like this. Okay. So this is Gomukhasana, cow face pose. I don't know why it's called that, but that's what it's called. We're going to find those archer arms again, or cow face arms. So right back of your hand to your lower back or mid back. You can always grab a towel or a strap if you'd like. Left arm up. You can bend that elbow and just cradle the back of your head. Or maybe reach for fingers if they're available. Take a breath in, and then just let yourself fold forward over those crossed knees any amount. And slow down your breath. And then go ahead, come on up. Release your arms. Just kind of shake those out. And then you can let yourself fold over your crossed knees for another breath. And then come on up. Just lean back on your hands, uncross your legs, and just windshield wiper your knees a little bit. And then we'll switch sides. So you'll cross your left leg on top of your right and just kind of pick up your hips, wiggle yourself so your knees stack as much as they do. You can look like this, okay? Or even just sit cross-legged. And you can sit on something if you really feel like your pelvis is really unlevel on the floor. You can sit on your folded blanket. Take our left arm to the left, internally rotate that shoulder, bring the back of your hand anywhere on your back. Right arm up, you can bend that elbow and just cradle the back of your head. You could have a strap or a towel and just clasp your hands behind you. And then let yourself fold forward here. And then come up and release your arms. And then let yourself just fold without your arms involved. And then go ahead and come on up. Lean back. Unwind your legs. Just let your legs go long. And just kind of shake them out. Just like we started with class today. Just internal, external rotation of those legs. Just shake your legs out. And then we'll make our way to our backs for our final rest. Just find your way down. And then find any last movements that would feel good in your body here. So a bridge pose may feel really nice after those forward folds. A happy baby pose, or maybe both of those things. Just kind of listen to what it is that your energy is craving, and then honor that. And then when you are complete with your movements, just let yourself lay and take up as much space as you can on your mat. Bring your hands to your face and just bring your palms to your eyes. Just let your meaty part of your palms be really heavy in your eye sockets. Close out all the light. And then you can use your fingers to maybe give yourself a little scalp massage. You could rub your temples or your jaw, the back of your neck. And then let yourself just completely let go. Just let your arms relax, your face relax, shoulders, the whole length of your spine relax. Let your pelvis feel heavy. Feel your legs relax, your feet relax. And this practice of just getting out of your own way as you let go. And our goal is to let our Vijnana Maya Kosha, that personality wisdom layer of our body, to be a clear lens without any obstructions or color or clouding. That takes observation over time. That we don't have to mask who we are with any kind of pretenses. That we are worthy and needed in all our uniqueness. And that uniqueness doesn't leave if we don't try to create it. It just is. And we can trust that and the wisdom of our personality. When you're ready, you can find some wiggles. Rock your head from side to side. Maybe stretch your arms overhead and get as long as you can from fingertips to toes. And then find a bend in your knees, roll to one side, and then gently push yourself up to a seat. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.